Dr. Das is just going to go over the basics of what happened in Plymouth first before we look at the mindset of the shooter and the incel community. So for people who are not familiar with the violence that's just recently occurred, are you okay to give a little bit brief description of that?
Yeah, I think I know the very basics.
Okay.
So this man, Jake Davison, who obviously identified with the whole incel movement, and I think that drove his actions. Was it a week ago, Shaun?
Yeah, last week. Yeah.
Last week he went postal, for want of a better word, and he went on quite a tragic killing spree, really. So he killed 5 people. His first victim was his mother, who he had had a problem with, been having arguments with, I believe because he believed that she owed him some money. And then he went on a random killing spree. He killed 5 people altogether, horrifically and tragically, including a 3-year-old girl.
And I'm going to play now a clip so you can actually hear the killer's own words. Just bear with me 2 seconds.
No, I can't. I'm so beaten down and defeated by life. That drive that I once had, that's gone now. You know, I try, and I always keep trying. But it's like, I'm at the point now where it's like, why do I even bother? Like, for what? You know? I'm still in the same house, same situation, same position, same food, everything's still the same. For the most part, it's just been me against the world. It's just been me fighting an uphill battle with a big rock on my back, you know, while I'm seeing that don't deserve half of anything. Now they're getting a free ride to the top. The whole premise of the Terminator movies is that, you know, everything's rigged against you. There's no hope for humanity. You know, we're on the brink of extinction. You know, these machines are unstoppable, killing machines that can't be beaten, can't be outsmarted. But yet, humanity still tries to fight to the end. And I know it's a movie, but you know, I like to think sometimes, you know, Terminator or something. And despite you know, reaching almost total system failure, he keeps trying to accomplish his mission. You know.
All right, so you heard him talk about the Terminator there, and many people who have come across this case on the news have never even heard of the incel community. So an incel is an involuntary celibate. That is somebody who has not had sex, a virgin, male, with a misogynistic belief system that has been cultivated online to the point now where they estimate there are hundreds of thousands of incels worldwide, and there are tens of thousands of them in the UK. They have their own language. Dr. Das, I was speaking to him earlier about doing a real deep dive on this because we've only got an hour or so tonight, whereby we're going to, you know, really look at the history of the spree shooters. We're going to look at all of the language in more depth. But tonight we'll just look at some of the basics. Let us know in the chat if you would like to see Dr. Das come back to the studio and do a full deep dive on this, because it is an absolutely fascinating subject. This is like what they were trying to call for to be labelled as a terrorist organisation this morning on the news here in this country because of the threat it presents. And it's a combination of gaming culture, videos, and the basic language is then a normie or a Becky is a woman who is not going around in a more sexually attractive way as labeled by the incels. So the siren type woman they label as a Stacy, and the male equivalent is called a Chad, and the incels fall back on skull and bone measurements and chin measurements as part of what they believe is a genetic deficiency that is preventing them from women finding them attractive. It's really sad because there's a lot of depressed, lonely people, and they're getting manipulated into this movement which has an extremist edge. And we saw the 3 spree murders now. I did a video approximately 2 years ago on the first 2 spree murders, because people were asking me what will happen to these people if they ever end up in prison. And it's not going to end well for them, because people who commit crimes against women and kids, it's kill on sight, or at least you're going to get a beat down. So I did document Roger's spree and Alec Minassian, the Canadian's spree. So Roger, he stabbed and shot girls, mostly females, sorority girls, and Alec, he drove a vehicle into people, killing mostly women, both of them. Absolutely horrendous what happened. The first is deceased, but the Alec ended up in prison in Canada where he's doing a life sentence. So now we've got they've been inspired by Elliot, Roger, and Alec. The Plymouth shooter has been inspired by them.